They're witches.
So, apparently I'm a witch.
Because she's a witch.
We've got a witch!
I'm the love witch.
I am a witch.
I am a witch.
I'm a witch!
Sally just came out.
Now the witch is back!
I am a witch. Yes, this is Lisa from Beyond Authentic, and this is the very first in a brand new series I'm doing on this channel called The Path Ahead 2. This month, it's The Path Ahead to January. The idea of this video is I'm going to give you various dates for the month ahead and any tips or pointers on various witchy things that you can do to celebrate the months as we go through. Now, each month I'll also be giving you an idea for some sort of ritual that links back with the theme of the month. The 1st of January is the final day of Yule. It's the 12 days of Yule, which later became corrupted into the 12 days of Christmas. But the 12 days of Yule today on the 1st of January is that final celebration day for Yule. And this is the day where you would have the biggest feast to celebrate that Yule period is now coming to an end. January 1st is also termed Hag's Day, where we honor the goddess as she who transforms. It's the day of Ishtar, goddess of love and battle. So if Ishtar is one of the deities that you work with or that you want to work with, then again, today is that feast day for Ishtar. On January the 2nd to the 3rd, it's the feast of Hecate. Now, obviously, Hecate is known as the Queen of Witches, but this feast day is for her in the form of the goddess of transition and crisis. So again, you can raise candles, you can give her libations, things like that, to honor Hecate on between the 2nd to the 3rd. January 6th is the Triple Goddess Day. Arguably, that could be transmuted in with the 2nd to 3rd for the Hecate imagery. However, it's also the day of the Lord of the Dance, Shiva. So some people will be feasting to celebrate Shiva. January 9th is the festival of Isis, the mother goddess throne of Egypt. January 16th, 1 week later, is the feast of Ganesh, who is the god of success. January 17th to 18th, I've got two different celebrations here depending on your path. Now, I'm probably going to get this pronunciation wrong, so I apologize in advance. But the Jewish festival of Tu B'Shavat, which is the festival of trees. Now that's celebrated with tree planting and orchard blessings. So that sounds like a lovely festival to attend, but it's also the Feast of Fate. Now that is the idea of honoring the ruler of past, present and future. Now this is the goddess as Moirae in Old Greek, Norns in Old Norse. Again, I apologize for the pronunciation. Coatlicue, which is an Aztec goddess, Pachamama from the Incan peoples, Manat, which is Old Arabic and Sulfi, and it celebrates Providence in the Christian belief. January 18th itself is also the day of Danu, celebrating the great mother goddess who shows the way. January 23rd is the Egyptian day of Hathor, which is the goddess of love, tombs and sky. And January 24th to February the 1st is Sementive, which is the old Roman festival of sowing. That is sowing seeds and crops, not sewing with needle and thread. So there's lots of feast days here in January. And of course, the reason being that in the Northern Hemisphere, this is when we hit winter. And this is when we hit that coldest month. And there is actually a celebration on the 13th of January called St. Hilary's Feast Day, which acknowledges that supposedly January 13th is the coldest day of the year. So we'll have to see how that goes in a couple of weeks' time. I've got one more feast day to mention, and that is only for the unmarried women among you. And that is St. Agnes's Eve on January the 20th, where unmarried women can perform rituals to enable them to dream of their future partners, but only the unmarried women, okay? Only the unmarried women among you. For most people, January is widely accepted as being all about fresh starts. It's where we see New Year's resolutions, and everybody has that idea of getting in shape for the summer or starting a gym or learning a language, whatever it is. January seems to be the month where people make those promises to themselves. For January's full moon on the 13th, I think it's really appropriate that I give you a cleansing and affirming ritual. Now, this is one that you may have seen lots of practice, but it's also something that is actually quite a powerful ritual in and of itself, and is one that will, if you are new to the craft, it will give you those baby steps. So for all of those brand new witches out there that are coming in and investigating witchcraft for the first time, it's perfect for you to use. But also, I've been doing this for many, many, many years, and this is a ritual that I still do, and it's a burning bowl ritual. Now, this may sound really, really basic, and it is, but sometimes we forget that the basics can be just as powerful as a ritual with all the bells and whistles. So then, what do I mean by a burning bowl? First of all, we need a fireproof bowl. Now, I've got this brass one that I used for the winter solstice celebration, but you can use any bowl. It could be a breakfast cereal bowl. It can be anything at all that isn't going to burn. Now, one thing I will say, if you are going to hold a bowl like this, you either need to put it on a saucer, put it on some sort of coaster to hold, or use something that is going to be much, much thicker than a brass bowl like this one, because the heat transfer is real, okay? And depending on how many things that you want to burn and to get rid of, will depend how hot this bowl gets. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is just some paper and a pen. So before the full moon itself, and this is where I want you to consider things very, very carefully, I want you to look at the habits or the patterns that you have in your life that you are wanting to get rid of. Okay, this is really important. This isn't where we use affirmations. This is where we are getting rid of bad habits, negative patterns. Okay, so for me, it could be something to do with my diet and still, you know, wanting to eat those sugary foods that as a diabetic, I know I should be avoiding. So for me, I might write that on a piece of paper, something along the lines of craving sugar or giving in to my craving of sugar. Okay, I would then fold that up and put it in a little pile somewhere, or in an envelope, somewhere safe, ready for the full moon. And during the month, I would add more and more strips of paper, more and more little pieces as I work out other things that I want to get rid of. Now, on the full moon itself, I want you to collect together those pieces of paper where you've put all of those bad habits or patterns that you want to get rid of. And I want you to take your metal bowl and a candle and a lighter or some matches and take it outside somewhere that is safe and light your candle. And then sort through your paper, okay? Just have a little look through of the things that you have decided to cleanse yourself of this coming year. If you are somebody who normally casts a circle a very specific way, you can do that. If you are somebody that just attunes to nature and you do your rituals that way, however you would normally set up to perform a ritual, do that. And then one by one, go through those pieces of paper, and I want you to say to the universe, I cleanse myself of, and then whatever you've written on your piece of paper. So for me, it might say, I cleanse myself of giving in to sugar cravings that I know are bad for me. And I would set fire to that piece of paper with the candle, hold it for as long as I can, and then place it into the bowl. And I would watch as that burns and as the ash rises and as the smoke rises, and I would see that habit leaving me. And it would be a very, very profound understanding that this habit, this pattern, this negative way of thinking has now left my system for good. Okay. And that is where the faith and that is where our intentions come in. We are doing this to cleanse ourselves of that negativity and those patterns that we ourselves follow. Now, once I've done all of that, before I extinguish the candle, I would say thanks to the universe, in my case, or whatever deity you are working with. I would use some sort of drink, because after a ritual, I always, whether it's water, whether it's mead, whether it's whatever it is, coffee, I will always take a few sips and pour something out to the universe. Again, it's a way of offering. So I would do that. So before you extinguish the candle, this is where you want to include your affirmations and your positive intentions, okay? But you need to be really careful about how you phrase this. So you don't want to say, again, in my case, I no longer crave sugary food, okay? Because that is just putting the emphasis on craving sugary food. But what I might say instead is I now honor my body with healthy food. Healthier food makes me happy. Healthier food sustains me, but you do it very specific in a way that isn't mentioning the very thing that we've just burnt in our bowls. And then close your circle, close your ritual as you normally would. And for the rest of the month, you want to carry on those positive affirmations. Make it part of your daily routine. So for me, every single morning, I make myself a cup of coffee and I will stir into that coffee those affirmations. Literally, as I'm stirring, I will stir clockwise and I will speak those affirmations out to the universe, to myself, and to that coffee. And I will say something along the lines of, healthy food gives me life. Healthy food sustains me. Healthy food makes me happy. Whatever it is, whatever my personal affirmations are, I will repeat every single morning into my coffee and make it part of that routine. And what that's doing is it's reaffirming every single day at a specific time. It's reaffirming your positive statements that you're making, that affirmation, that affirmative, and it's not mentioning in any way, shape or form that negative. And you want to carry on doing this even if you have a slip up, or even if, you know, in my case, I give in to some of those sugar cravings. The very next morning I will carry on with that affirmation and carry on reaffirming that in my mind and setting that intention back out to the universe. Don't forget, habits take a while to form, and when you are changing a habit and getting rid of one and replacing it with something else, again, it can take a while and repetition to do that. So don't beat yourself up if 2 days after your ritual you have done the very thing that you've just burnt to get rid of. Just go straight back to those affirmations, and hopefully over time those affirmations will become just part of your daily practice and part of your life, and you'll find them becoming those healthier habits. Now, for those of you that may not have access to an outdoor area or somewhere where it is safe to burn, or if you live somewhere where you're not allowed to burn anything indoors for whatever reason, then you can still do this ritual, but instead of writing on a piece of paper and burning it in a bowl, you could maybe write this on toilet tissue and then flush the toilet. So instead of burning the bowl, you put the toilet paper with your habits that you want to leave behind. You take that, you again speak to the universe, speak to the paper, and you tear it or you crumple it and put it into the toilet. Now, if you're doing that, I would recommend, depending on how many things you want to get rid of, you use maybe 1 square per habit you want to break. Tear those up into small pieces and then flush at the end of the ritual. And that flush will be seen as all of those things disappearing off into nature and being taken away from you. Now, again, because you're using toilet tissue, that paper will dissolve over time. You could go one further and use something like rice paper, which absolutely will dissolve. So there are many ways to adapt this ritual depending on your own circumstances. Now, at the end of January, we've got the new moon on the 29th. And again, this is another perfect time to reiterate those affirmations and to really go over and repeat and lock in those changes that you want to see for 2025. Okay, this is a really good opportunity to get those locked into place. Traditionally on new moons, we look at new ventures, new projects, and you can find all sorts of workings to do around that theme. For me, I will probably work on some sort of sigil, put that into a candle and light that. And that would be about as much as I tend to do on the new moon. For me, as a liminal witch, the day before the new moon, the dark moon, is also a very important day. So this is the day when I will do any banishing work, when I will do any wards around the property that need to be a little bit toothy. So some of the energies that I want to make sure are not welcome into my property, those wards, those banishings, that energy protection is going to be a little bit heavier, and that's a perfect time for me to use that dark moon, dark lunar magic, just to give things that little extra bite, that little extra teethiness that it might need. That's it from the path ahead for January. Let me know in the comments section what your thoughts are and if there's anything you want me to include in future videos. This is very much a little bit suck it and see as I find my feet with this sort of video. So do let me know your feedback. But that is going to be it from me. And as I always say, stay you, stay true, stay authentic, and I'll see you with one of these next month. Bye-bye.